So Clayton, you started to see some movement, some momentum in personal evangelism and disciple making. What are some keys, in your opinion, to seeing evangelism and spiritual multiplication happening on a campus? What strategies, resources, things like that?
We had talked about, so evangelism kind of went in phases for us. There was a phase where we didn't do it, and someone had to really, really, really work to come to know Christ in our ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And then went through this stage of, okay, well, let's tweak what we do as a large group at our large group event, where we're sharing the gospel and we're, explaining some of the Christian needs, and we're trying to help lost students kind of interact. So it was a safe place for our students to bring their lost friends. And that there was some really fun things that happened in that. We were seeing anywhere from 10 to 15 students come to know Christ at that large group event. And there was a moment where the realization hit that I was becoming more and more irrelevant. I mean, if I could be really honest, Steve, you're nodding your head, and I don't want to hear.
Yeah, I've been irrelevant for years, Clayton.
No.
Well, I struggle with that. Well, I guess we probably all struggle with that. But there was a moment where our crowd began to grow to the point where I couldn't connect with everybody. There weren't enough analogies that I could throw out to connect with the different demographics on campus. If I would talk about my Greek background, half the crowd would roll their eyes and the other half would be like, yeah, brother, and what if I talked about being a band nerd, so I was having a hard time connecting with everybody. And I don't know how it happened, but there was this realization of, I can't be the one that shares the gospel with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We were just starting to talk through disciple making and meeting intentionally with students and students meeting with students and so on and so forth. Realization of we need to hand this off, and we need to begin to train students how to do this. And it really was almost, around maybe 2014, 2015, where we started saying, okay, let's actually train our students to share the gospel. Let's expect them to share the gospel. Let's give them some avenues to share the gospel. We began starting the conversation with using gospel appointments, being really intentional with the way that we do outreach and setting those things up. Mm-hmm. And the hope was that every aspect of our ministry, we'd have people come to know Christ, whether it be our small groups or large group or, our lunch outreach. But also the hope is that more people come to know Christ outside of our ministry than in the actual events of our ministry. And when we started training students to share the gospel, man, it was insane. Like the first year, it was very difficult to motivate. It was a lot of, we do all these contacts, and then as a staff, I was dragging students along, come do this. This is fun. This is fun. And I remember doing just hundreds of gospel appointments and feeling like I had no time to do anything else, which is great. There's nothing else that we'd rather do. I have but one mission, to preach Christ. But after that first kind of generation was trained, the rock just kind of gained momentum going down the hill. Mm-hmm. And so now it's like staff are fighting. Please, can I please meet with some students? Please let me, taking it. But what happened almost overnight is that the number of students coming to Christ doubled.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because all of a sudden it wasn't based on my ability to be relevant as a teacher, but it really turned into, we've empowered our students. They are already on the campus. They're the ones who are cleverly disguised, like a college student. Kingdoms of God, agents of the kingdom of God, cleverly disguised as college students, and they got away with so much more than I ever could, and just kind of decentralized whose responsibility it was to share the gospel. And that was a game changer for us.